COFMUG October 2019 Halloween edition. So today we're going to build a game in FileMaker. Yeah, I hope so. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is just create a blank file. And the game we're going to create is tic-tac-toe. Easy to understand, somewhat easy to program. So in here, essentially we're just going to have our main tic-tac-toe table. I'm also going to create an icons table because we're going to theme it for Halloween. So our icons table is going to have an icon file. And it's going to have a name. So we're going to have a name of what that icon is. And let's just do something like get as text icon. And then that way it'll just grab the file name out of there. All right. And then, so the first thing we need to do is kind of build our playboard. And on this layout, I'm just going to delete everything aside from the body. And we're going to stick a picture in as our background. And sometimes I'll just stick the picture in the layout itself rather than making it like the background of it, jump through hoops like that. So I've put an assets file together on my desktop. So I got a Halloween background and I'll expand it. Oh man, that was not as big as I thought it was when I saved that picture. All right, so we'll go ahead and pop that there and move this over, and yep, that should be good. All right, so that's our background here. Then we're going to need to build our tic-tac-toe board, which is just going to be like a pound sign. So I think I got a graphic in here for the line as well. So let me see, here's the line. Let me try to insert that where it's not going to be overflow. Yeah, so okay, I'll increase. Oh, so this one was a big line. So let me try to resize that with my inspector here. So let's make this a width of 800 and a height of like 100. So there's one of our lines. And then I'm going to resize my body back down to 483, just so I have that back up there. And then what I can do here is kind of move this around now to create, copy and paste to create my little tic-tac-toe grid here. So there, paste again. And I'm going to right click on that and arrange and rotate. Yeah, so. And then kind of just take these into place. And grab those and go a little farther down and grab those. A little farther over.
You change the color or because it's a picture?
Well, it's a picture, so unless I had it as a vector or something, I wouldn't be able to change the color of it. But I chose red because, you know, it stands out a little bit, but I wanted something that had a little bit of a look to it. So this is it. It's pretty simple, and it's centered on point. So what we're going to need, if we want a custom icon that's going to represent each square here, we're going to need a container field to kind of display that information. So what I'm going to do is we're going to create on our tic-tac-toe board, we're going to create 9 cells. So I'm just going to call it cell 1, and I'm going to make this a calculation field. And for our calculation, we're going to want it to result in a container. We're going to always want to evaluate it. We're going to not store it because we want it to update right away. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to need to program some logic to say what that icon is lit up as. So I'll do a case statement here. I'm going to say if a global variable of, let's just say cell 1 equals 1 for player 1, we're going to want to do icon 1. And if it's cell 1 equals 2, icon 2. Otherwise, we're just going to leave it empty because there's no icon, so it's not filled in yet. So this one then becomes, we duplicated for all 9 cells. So we'll do cell 2. And you could probably do this with like repetitions in one field or something like that. But for now, I'm just going to do it kind of manually so we can put it all together. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, and 9. So I'll go change these all as well so that they reference their proper numbers. Seven, 6, 5. Oops, I missed one there. Cell 5. Cell 4. 3. Cell 2. And then cell 1. All right, so that is the fields that we need to build our playboard. And it automatically stuck them all down here for me, even though I kind of didn't want them to do that. So I'll just look at my objects on the screen and delete all of the things I don't need off of here. So that leaves me with cell 1. So our icons are all going to be square, so I'm going to make this a square. Let's try to figure out what this square in the middle is here, and we'll size it appropriately for that one. It looks like we're not quite squared up here, so this would be 132 by 132, which means I just need to move this line down until about there. All right, and what I'm going to do with this is let's remove all the styling because we want the icon to be kind of transparent. So I'm going to say fill none. I'm going to say line none. I'm going to give it a quarter radius of 0. I'm going to take all the padding out of here. And then under the data format, we're going to do images, and then I'm going to unclick maintain original. Oh, I'll maintain original portions, but I'll reduce or enlarge to fit. And then I'm going to center it. So the icon's going to be centered, and it's going to resize to fit within the boundaries of this container. So now all I have to do is drop all of my different icons into place. and set each one of them to be the proper one. So let's align all these. And then this one's going to be cell 2. That one's going to be cell 3. And then we'll align this one here. That's going to be cell 4. This one's going to be cell 5. Get another one down here. This is where the snapping comes in handy, but you can also highlight, and I'm using Command Option and then the arrow keys to line stuff up. And then I can copy a whole row and paste it right here. And I'm going to arrow that into place. And then this will be 7, 8, and 9. All right, so that's our playboard, our background, and let's make a couple buttons as well. So we're going to need a button to clear reset. And I'm going to have this perform a script, and we'll just call this reset playboard. And then I'm going to need two more buttons. I'm going to need, let's call this select player 1. And maybe I should do this just in a popover. Yeah, let's do this in a popover instead. So instead of these, I'm going to make popover buttons right here. I'm going to call this select player 1. So what we want is select icon for player 1. What we want here is the ability for a player to choose whatever icon that they want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Cartesian join a portal together here, which we do in relationships. So all this means is that from my tic-tac-toe board, I want to be able to see all the icons. So I'm just going to select the Cartesian join between these. And now I'll be able to put a portal of icons in here that I can display. And that'll be pretty like skinny-ish. So I'll make that just like that. And then I'll do my portal in here. And I'll do my portal of icons, and we'll say I want 3 icons in there, and I don't really need an active or an alternate row state. I will want the scrolling there. And I want to filter portal records too. So the reason I want to filter portal records is I want to make sure that the player 1 icon can't be selected the same as the player 2 icon. So basically I'll say case is empty and actually I need to go remember what I said here for this calculation. Icon 1, so I just called it icon 1, so that's what we're going to use to compare. So come on, wish it didn't do that. Scrolling, set, filter. So case if not is empty, or let's just do if is empty icon 2, then we want icon 2 is not equal to icon. Or actually that is our not is empty condition. So if icon 2 is empty for the player 1 portal, then it's automatically a 1. It's true. Otherwise, we want to make sure that it's not. So that will result in If it's not equal, then that's a 1. Otherwise, it's a 0. Okay, so if icon 2 is empty, it's 1. If icon 2 is not equal to the icon, it's a 1. Otherwise, it's a 0. All right, and we just want to put the icon in there. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing here. So we'll make this like I want to make this like 140 wide by, let's just do it smaller, 120 wide by 360 tall. And then we'll go ahead and make this icon the full width of the portal as well, and then just shrink this back down. And then go ahead and apply some of the same things in here where we just do reduce or enlarge to fit, and we style it to take out the, I'll leave the corner in here, but I'll take out the padding. I'll leave the corner because the portal is rounded as well, so. All right, so that's player 1. Oh, and we need to buttonize this. So I'm going to make the icon an actual button here. Button setup, perform script. And let's do select player 1 as our script. And I'm scripting stuff separately. In other cases, I might do like a script parameter here, but I'm just kind of like hard coding everything here just for the ease of kind of separating this out. So in this portal, this is now player 2, I'm going to say if is empty icon 1, then it's a 1. If icon 1 is not equal to the icon, then it's a 1. Otherwise, it's a 0. So all I have to do is just adjust the context here for that filter to be something else. And then for the actual script that goes on here, when I'm on the button, go to button setup. I'm going to do a new script called select player 2. Okay. Now for these cells, these also need to be buttons so that when the player clicks on the board, it performs an action. So I'm going to do button setup on this, and we're going to do a perform action, and we're going to say playboard click, and this is going to take a cell parameter of which cell was clicked. So I'm going to just notate that in my script name. So this one's going to be cell 1. Set up form script 2. Set up form script 3. Kind of wish I did this before I copied everything, you know. No, it's script triggers. Nope, wrong one. Button setup, form script 4. You can make this dynamic by like passing a parameter of object name and just naming all the objects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that type of thing. Which would be great if you're making a playboard that has like a ton of spaces on it, not just 9. Like, I don't know if you remember Kevin, Kevin Becker, that used to be in our user group before he moved to Africa. He had a ghost detector game or something that had like, what was it, 144 by 144 play grid or something, and it was all driven by script parameters. It was really cool. I miss that guy. He's a cool guy. Oh yeah, he moved to Africa.
After my first time.
Yeah. There's a reason you haven't seen this guy. And 9. All right, I think I got all the numbers right, but we'll find out when we start scripting. All right, so we have the playboard. Everything is buttonized. All the empty scripts are there. So we're ready to move on to the next step, which is, well, it's going to be importing our icons first. So let's do that. Let's import a folder. I'm going to specify my icons folder. Picture and movie files, import a reference. No, I want to actually import those. Continue. We're going to add records. We're going to import the image into our icon field. And we're going to say, don't import anything else, right? And we're going to perform auto enters just because we want to. All right, so that imported all of ours. And if I change this to a table view, you'll see that, yes, our icons are all there, 15 icons. I suppose like I could substitute out this, I'm going to substitute the name, and I'm going to take out the .png. That's after everything. There we go. So that cleans up that text a little bit. So now I have icons. If I go in here, there's my icons. I can scroll through. I can click on things. Okay, cool. All right, so our icons are in place. The data is here. Let's start scripting. So the first thing I want to do is script my reset. This is going to be what clears everything. So icon 1 is going to be unset. That's player 1's icon. Icon 2 is going to be unset. That's player 2's icon. So I can comment this as well, like reset player icons. Man, can't type today. Player icons. And then we're going to want to reset playboard state. So remember, those are all the cell variables. Cell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, you could probably do this in a dynamic fashion with a loop and an iterator counter, just to loop through until you go through like 100 cycles or whatever. This is just easy. You could also do all of this in one script step, like if you just evaluated and set everything to, actually, does that work if you set global variables to just empty strings to unset them all at once? All right. Let's, whoever on YouTube wants to shoot an advanced version of this video, by all means. Playboard state, and then what else? Reset turn counter. So I'm going to create a variable to track whose turn it is, and we'll just call that turn. And we're going to reset that back to empty. Or we can reset it back to 1. Actually, I want to set it to empty in case we want to use a message or something. So I think those are the 3 things we need to reset. So let's talk about select player 1. So really all we need to do here is set the icon to the value of icons icon. And then the other thing I want to do is close the popover. And let's say I want to refresh the window so that I can repull my join results for any of the portals. Oh, and that is icon. I need that to be icon 1. So same thing for select player 2, except all I'm doing here is selecting player 2 instead. One thing I think would be cool really quick is that when player 1 gets selected, we can hide this. So if not is empty icon 1, we can hide that. And we can hide this one when not is empty icon 2. And then what we could also do here on our playboard is do player 1. Let's do this as a calculation. And let's just say this is also a container field, and we're going to say this is icon 1. And do not store. And this will just let us display who player 1 and player player 2 are. So I'm going to just duplicate that, call that player 2. This is going to be icon 2. It'll add those to me here. So I can grab those. So these are the opposite of this condition up here. So I want the is empty to hide this. So I'll hide object 1 when is empty that. And then we don't need field entry in browse mode or find mode for these. These are just going to be icons. So I'll just make these smaller things here. Let's just say 70 by 70. 70 by 70. And I'll drop these under the reset buttons. And I'll give these some titles as well. Player 1. Do I have any styles at all for this? Header text. Yeah, that looks fine. I'll just use the default header text here. Player 1. Player 2. Not 12. Player 2. And then I want to give those titles the same hide condition as their icons, so that they hide appropriately as well. So that'll give us player 1 and player 2 icons when we have players selected. Okay, and let's restyle these as well. No fill, no line, no corner radius, no padding. And also set them so that they're reduced or enlarged to fit. Aligned. All right, so now we have like a little player board in there as well. And we scripted select player 1. So let's select player 1. There's our player 1 icon. Select player 2. You notice that is now being filtered out, which is right. So I'll select player 2. There's player 1, player 2. We can move that over probably to be a little closer. And then if I reset, everything should go back. Okay, so reset didn't work. So why didn't reset work? Because we just didn't need to refresh the window? Yeah, because we need to refresh. So let's go back to our reset and let's add refresh window to display reset state. Refresh. I don't really need a comment there, but. All right, so now if I like pick somebody and I hit reset, it goes back. Cool, we're getting there. Getting there. All right, I think at this point in time we're about halfway done, so we're doing good on time here. All right, normally I'd like theme the buttons as well to kind of make it blend in with this theme, maybe make some black style buttons. I wonder if we've got a specific style. No, this theme does not have, what is this theme? Enlightened doesn't have button themes? Why do I find that hard to believe? Oh, there it is. Navigation buttons are black. All right, so there's like using FileMaker's built-in style there. Okay, cool. Oh, by the way, if you do select, you can select container contents into a global variable, but if you look at it in the web viewer, it's just going to tell you what the file name is. It's not actually going to show you the data viewer, not the web viewer. It'll just show you the name of the image that you have in there. But mark my words, it is actually storing the container contents in that global variable, or maybe a local reference to it. I don't know for sure. But the calculation can get it out, and that's the important part. All right, so we need to code our playboard click. So we're going to set a variable of the cell, get script parameter, and we're going to check that result if is empty cell or get as number cell is empty. Actually, those do the same thing, so I can just take the first one is empty off if I'm doing this. Or cell is greater than 9, or cell is less than 1. Exit script. And give it a snarky error message here, error. You can't do that. All right, just a basic error check to make sure that we're getting a number between 1 and 9. I'm not checking for whole numbers. I'm not checking for 9. Yeah. So we want to say, figure out whose, so we need to figure out whose turn is it. We need to figure out, is that cell already clicked? We need to figure out, does this click result in a win? And that's pretty much all we need to figure out, right? Yeah. So whose turn is it? Set variable turn. And this is pretty much an easy one. Case is empty turn. Then it's the first play of the game. So it's going to be player 1. Else if turn equals 1, 2. Where 1 went, player 2 is next. Else if turn equals 2, 1. Switch back to player 1. Otherwise, whatever, we'll just leave it empty. Okay, so that means that it's going to be turn 1 or turn 2, so that we're going to append that on to whatever thing we are tracking. And since we're only tracking 9, I think we can just do pattern counts of the number here for combinations. So what I might want to do is check. Let's think about how we want to check this. So let's see, if pattern count, and let's say player 1 checked cell greater than 0, or pattern count player 2 checked cell greater than 0. This check should actually go before we change the turn. Show custom dialog, already selected. So that'll just give us an exit the script. It'll just give us a warning if somebody clicks on a cell that's already clicked. So whose turn is it? Then we'll figure this out. And then we will add the click to the current players array. So we're just going to do a simple if here, if turn equals 1, else if turn equals 2, and then we're going to set that variable that we're checking up here, that player 2 checked. Player 1 checked. And then player 2 checked. And then we're going to check for the result of the win after that. So let's think about how we want to store this data. There's a number of different ways we could store it. We could store it as just a virtual grid, where it's essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in that order. We could store it just as a return delimited list of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We could store it as a a JSON array. There's really like an unlimited way to store it. So I think what's important then now is to think about how do we want to figure out how somebody has won. So all of our things are numbered. We know what combinations we're going to need in order of like 1 through 9, which combinations will win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 4, 7, 2, 2, 5, 8, or 2, 3, 6, 9, and the diagonals. So for us to check for those patterns, we would need to, there's a way we can do it. So let's do an if statement here. And in this if statement, we're going to do a giant let statement. So ultimately, we want to check for if it's winning, and then show a custom dialog and exit script. And let's just say player and turn and wins. I just looked right into that projector bulb and I'm like blind. No, that's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go back up to the if. So this is going to be our really long condition to check for a win. So we're going to do a let statement here, and we're going to let current list equals case current equals 1. We want player 1 list. Else if turn 2 player 2 list. So we're localizing for the purpose of this function the ability to get a current list. And I suppose you would want to put a tilde in front of that. Okay. And then later on down the line, what we're going to do is we're going to say if, when we're exiting this, we want to exit with that the current list is a winner or not. So we can check for if is empty current list. That's a 0 right there. And then we'll close those two functions off. We'll close our case statement off and we'll close our let function there. So we could just do a really long case statement here for pattern counts. So I think that's probably the easiest way to go through multiple combinations. We'll just do P1 equals pattern count current list 1. And then we're going to copy this for R9. 7, 8, 9. So this is horribly, it's not very efficient, but since we're only dealing with 9 numbers, it's easy to explain. 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 2.
Are you just checking the presence of like 3 positive results there?
So what I want is a pattern count of, pattern count's going to equal 1 if any of these numbers is in the list. Yeah, but I'm getting to that part. All I'm doing now is localizing these so I can reference P1, P2, P3. Because basically I'm going to say, well, you'll see what I'm going to do here in a second. So remember, I need to check for all possible combinations of 3 digits to call things a win. So essentially what I can do now that I have those 9 things local, and it doesn't matter, so when somebody clicks a button, it doesn't matter what order it's in now, because I'm pattern counting for anywhere in that list to have that result. All that it matters is that I only have 9 numbers and that I don't have duplicates of numbers. If I had duplicates of numbers, then this would return 2, and that is no longer going to work for what I'm going to do. So basically what I'm going to do here is for each one of the combinations, I'm going to do that. So for each of the combinations, all I need to do is add those 3 numbers to see if it adds up to 3. So now I can just do that for all the different combinations that I need to do. So P1 plus P, and it doesn't matter if this is in any order either. All that matters is that I'm checking for any combination of 3 numbers that wins. P4, P5, P6. P7, P8, P9. We're doing P1, P4, P7. We are doing P2, P5, P8. We are doing P3, P6, P9. We are doing P1, P5. These are the diagonals, P9. We are doing the other diagonal, which is P3, P5, P7. So those are all the winning combinations: row, 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 column, 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 2 diagonals. If it doesn't get through any of those winning combinations, it's 0. So of course you could optimize this to something else. This is easy to explain to how to break out a grid. Normally, I would probably abstract this out to like maybe a custom function or something like that, just so it goes quicker. You could do a while loop that loops through, you know, your combinations or whatever. There's a number of different ways you could do this. This is the easiest and quickest way to from point A to point B. And let's see. Oh yeah. So it doesn't like that I used no closing semicolon on that line. All right. So that is it. If it doesn't win, it just keeps going. I feel like I'm missing something, but let's start with this and see what we're missing. Whose turn is it? Add the click. Does the click result in a win? And then that exit script is kind of, oh, right. I forgot to make my list. So all I need to do now is list player 1 checked and add the cell to that. So that when they click on a button, it checks to make sure that it's not already clicked, figures out whose turn it is that clicked on it, adds that to their list, and then checks that after that if it's a win. All right. So let's go through here. Oh, and we should probably do something like check, are the players selected? If it is empty, icon 1, or is empty, icon 2. Select players. Exit script. That's what I really want to check. So if I click that, I get my select players dialog. All right, so I'll begrudgingly select some players here. Player 2. All right, so this should be player 1. And now I didn't update my cell 1 equals 1. So I also need to update the cell number to equal 1. So that's what I missed. So I'm going to reset. So we can do this dynamically as well. So we're going to light up playboard cell with that user's icon. So I know I need a set variable. Result, we're going to do this dynamically. And then we're going to refresh, not the object, refresh the window. Just this isn't technically joined results, so I don't need anything here. We're going to evaluate expression here. So our expression is going to be, or we don't need to evaluate an expression, do we? No, because we're just setting a global variable. Or yeah, we do, because we need to set it with a number on the end of it. So here's where Google comes into play. FileMaker set global by calculation. Because I need cell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need to be able to tell it cell 1 is the one I want dynamically. I think there's a Brian Dunning custom function for this. Creates variables from parameters, variables from a text string, past variables, fn, this one, dynamically sets a global variable. This is exactly what I mean. Thank you, Rob Polking. Well, it's what I was looking for. So he's got expression here. That's my expression. So this is name, but we know what the name is going to be. It's going to be cell. And then we need the cell number in here, which is cell. And then we're going to set it to a value, and that's going to be turn. And then this is just the rest of the let statement that he had on there. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm telling it to create a global variable called $$cell with my cell number after it, equal to the value of whoever's turn it is. Put it on a button.
I mean, it's just calculation, so you can put that directly on whatever users have. I don't even understand your scale.
Yeah, but it's part of this script. Yeah. All right. So now, if I select player 1 and select player 2, if I click, there's player 1's icon, and now if I click player 2, hooray! Oh no, 1 was not already selected. What does that think it's doing? That's cell 1. So why does it think cell 1 is already selected? Cell should be 1. So one of these other cells is probably has a script parameter of 1, 2, 3, 6, 5, 4, 7, 8, 9. So that's not the case. So let me check my player lists here. So I'm going to look at my data viewer. So player 1 had it checked already. Oh.
Did you have it in your reset?
Hey, look at that. I was resetting it to icon 1 and icon 2, but I wasn't resetting the player 1 and player 2 lists. So player 1 list, player 2 list. Icons and lists. Okay, so now I really reset this and double check in the data viewer that yes, no, it didn't reset player 1 checked. Because I used the wrong variable names, huh? Let me make sure that that's all right in my other scripts. Player 1 checked, player 2 checked, player 1 checked, player 2 checked. Ah, I have it wrong in here. Player 2 checked, player 1 checked. So nobody would ever win. Play life the game. All right, so select player 1, select player 2, player 1's icon, player's 2 icons. The icons work. Player 1, player 2, player 1 who is drunk, player 2. Player 2 wins. Yay. Let's test player 1 winning. Player 2 wins again. Yes. Player 1 wins. All right. So I think that is it. That is a working tic-tac-toe system. Now you could do things like hide this and make sure to resize the window properly so it actually looks like it's a real app.
You could also
Do card window messages instead of custom dialogues to make it fancy. You could do some randomized variables where, like, if you click on something, it puts the other player's icon there. You could, I mean, yeah. But we've already spent an hour on this, and that's a great segue to end the recording, at least for now. So thank you, everyone. The files will be posted so you can check this out for yourself.